Ever played Ori and the Will of the Wisps? Released in March of 2020 for Xbox One and PC, this visually stunning Metroid-inspired masterpiece was developed by Moon Studios, an independent developer based in Vienna, Austria, and founded in just 2010. In fact, Ori and the Will of the Wisps is only the second game from the young developer, and the sequel to the well-received Ori and the Blind Forest from 2015. While Will of the Wisps may continue the story from Blind Forest, it's certainly not necessary to play the first game, or even be familiar with it to enjoy the sequel. Indeed, I had never played the Blind Forest and had a blast playing through Will of the Wisps. With that out of the way, the story centers around the titular character Ori, a spirit being, in an effort to gather the various wayward wisps of light and return them to the Spirit Willow, a big willow tree from which all forest life draws energy, or something like that. Only by gathering the wisps of light will the encroaching decay be pushed back, allowing light and life to re-enter the forest. All the while being stalked by the game's antagonist, Shriek, a half-bird, half-skeleton beast which the creatures of the forest fear. Our story begins when Ori, along with adopted relatives Naru and Gumo, are blessed with a new addition. From a lone egg pops a little owl named Ku, and the family is complete. Time passes, and the little owl grows into a slightly bigger little owl. Of course, birds gotta fly. It's unfortunate that Ku was born with a misshapen wing, preventing her from staying aloft. This problem is soon fixed with a feather left behind by Ku's missing mother. With a little help from Gumo, Ku's wing is repaired. With Ori on his back, Ku takes to the skies, soaring with geese and discovering lands never before seen. Everything is going swimmingly until our heroes approach the old Spirit Willow. Unconcerned by the hazardous atmospheric conditions, Ku carries on. I don't understand why Ku continues to fly into the storm. Isn't this her very first flight? The maiden voyage? Shouldn't she be taking it easy? She's literally never flown before and goes right into a storm. Doesn't even think to turn around. Not the smartest little owl in the world. Regardless, the forces of the storm have flung the two towards disparate areas of the forest. Separated by the storm, our story began. So of course the game actually starts, like for real this time. Our goal for now is to find Ku, assuming she's still alive. Ori can run and jump, but that's about it. Touring the area reveals a torch, our first weapon. I really like the lighting effects while using the torch. I appreciate that the background and foreground are both lit up, with the backgrounds becoming progressively more dim. I know it's been done before, but I think it's really cool. Make good use of the torch by repeatedly slamming it into the face of the big wolf. They don't like that. Once the wolf is dispatched, Ori meets the Moki. These friendly, lemur-like creatures are constantly on their guard for Shriek. They would like you to meet Quolok, the guardian of the marsh. But before that, Ori finds the first of many spirit trees and learns the ability Spirit Edge, which is really just a sword. But it's great to be armed, and using your weapon is as easy as pressing the button to which it is assigned. Ori attacks on the ground and in the air, slowing or stopping descent while engaged in melee combat. Easy enough stuff. Keep exploring the area and soon Ori gains double jump, a staple of the genre. Later on you can spend Spirit Light, the currency in the game, to upgrade to a triple jump. Very nice. Keep clearing out the map and Ori discovers Spirit Shards, which allow for yet more abilities. However, you have a limited number of Spirit Shard slots, so Ori can only have a select few shards equipped at once. Finding the Magnet Spirit Shard in this area is a nice plus and helps pull enemy loot towards Ori. Regardless, finding the Regenerate ability and the Sticky Shard are essential to your success. The former heals, and the latter allows Ori to stick to walls, opening up new areas for exploration. Eventually, Ori and Ku are reunited. Their affectionate embrace is cut short when we get our first look at Shriek, a constant source of harassment in the land of Niwen. Our heroes attempt to sneak past the monstrous behemoth, but once out in the open, Shriek is on them in an instant. The beast smashes Ori into the ground. Ku, summoning her courage, strikes in vain at her new enemy. Angered, Shriek raises one giant skeletal leg and everything goes black. Ku is obviously gravely injured. I think she's still breathing. The little Moki say that Quolock can help. So here's Quolock. Yikes. Of course, he agrees to help you in your quest to save our little owl friend Ku, and of course the only way to save her is to bring each of the Wisps together at the Spirit Hollow, where their life-giving energy will heal the land and purge it of decay. The Wisps are located in various areas of the forest. Quolock equates the Wisps to different attributes of functions in the forest. Quolock says that the forest memory is bound by frost in the north. Its eyes are lost in darkness to the south, its strength is drowned by water to the west, and its heart is buried beneath the sands to the east. But you've got its voice. Its weak, pathetic voice. Additionally, Quolock decided it's finally time for him to get off his pad and join the search. This seems like something he should have been doing a long time ago, but no biggie. At least we have a goal. Collect the 4 remaining Wisps and get them to the Spirit Willow. Can do. So now you are free to explore the game and take on your tasks in any order you please. This is my favorite aspect of these Metroidvania style games. The ability to explore the world at your leisure. I love taking on unexplored areas and trying to find new abilities and upgrades before heading off to whatever my objective may be. There were plenty of instances in which I found myself not knowing how to progress in an area. These are times when it pays to take mental notes, or even written ones, of the location because you just know that eventually you're going to find an item or ability which allows you to continue your journey. The developers did a good job of giving you the necessities early on in the game. Things like double jump, dash, regenerate, and the grapple ability are common enough not to hide behind long hours of grinding. The game handles beautifully. The controls are immaculate. Transitioning from jump to double jump to dash then grapple is all done seamlessly. The button mapping is laid out so that each movement may be performed in a fluid fashion. The tight controls result in few cheap deaths and some really incredible acrobatic feats. It's good that we didn't get too attached to Quolock, cause here he is again, under the control of one of these creepy forest squids. The boss fights are pretty fun in this game. There are only a few bosses, but they're big, detailed, and unique. They also have a lot of health, which means the battles can drag a bit. Not this one. Once the squid beast is pried from Quolock, it is summarily squashed by the freed frog. Quolock isn't looking too good either. Looks like the old toad has had it. In his dying breath, he tells us some stuff we already knew. Then he croaks, leaving behind a wisp. The strength of the forest. Neat. Traveling to the next objective is a joy. The world is so alive and vibrant, it's hard to grow weary of the environments. Every area in this game is painstakingly detailed. The characters are all 3D models dropped into a 2D environment. As such, the backgrounds are necessarily more complex so as to increase the perception of depth. There are insects that flutter about, foliage that sways in the breeze. I never get tired of watching the bridges and tree limbs flex and bend under Ori's weight. The game is really a visual treat. Additionally, Moon Studios use light in the right places, illuminating the backgrounds at just the right opacity, helping to create the illusion that the background continues forever. The commendable lighting effects are more apparent in the Moldwood depths. Here, deep underground, light sources are found in the form of fireflies. Following these ensure safe passage for Ori. The lighting is gorgeous and juxtaposes well with the encroaching darkness. Very cool. Naturally, the overseer of this subterranean realm is a giant spider who doesn't care much for intruders. This big baddie has all the normal attacks you would expect from a giant spider. That is to say, it has 3 attacks. It stomps its front legs, attacks with its disgusting mandibles, and of course, spits venom. Oh, and sometimes it makes the screen go dark, but that's what the flash ability is for. With the big spider out of the way, the adventure continues. There are tons of things to collect along your way. Spirit shards are scattered throughout the world, adding to your ever-growing collection of abilities. Finding these life cell fragments will increase your health for every 2 you find. The same goes for the energy cell fragments. Energy is necessary for special abilities like firing the Spirit Arc and using Regenerate. These are different from abilities which do not require energy, like swinging your weapon or using Bash or Flap. You will notice various deposits of blue crystal and green vegetation on your travels. Not surprisingly, these restore energy and health respectively. Further, they will regrow after a certain amount of time, allowing for repeat harvesting. The map is quite helpful, as it will record the locations of collectibles that you've come across. You can purchase maps of each area from Lupo, this weird insect fella. Lupo doesn't seem to care that Ori is on a quest to save the entire forest. He just wants your cash. The Wellspring Glades is the new home of the Moki, and things are coming along swimmingly. You can talk to Turley and have him plant some seeds to grow different plants in the glades. The plants increase accessibility in the area by adding blue clinging moss, or the fun bouncy things. Also, Grom, this guy here, seeks to increase resale value by updating various aspects of Wellspring Glades. Grom requires a substance called Gorlek ore, which is found in hard-to-reach places throughout the game. The man does a good job too. He'll take out all those thorns, fix the save zone, or spirit well. He even builds houses for the Moki. There are a number of side quests for Ori to take on. Sometimes it involves fetching something, or perhaps exploring an uncharted area. You can easily keep track of side quests in the map. The game world itself is quite large. There are 14 total areas with no loading in between. Ori traverses from one locale to the next seamlessly. The scenery changes gradually over several screens, so it pays to be attentive to location update notifications to make sure you know where you are. If you get confused, you can simply check the map. Honestly though, I would have killed for a mini-map. Maybe not killed, but I would have spent an extra $5 in the game if it came with one. Ah well, I guess it's more realistic this way. As realistic as a game with giant talking bullfrogs and half-bird, half-skeletons can be, I suppose. Ah well. Mini-maps are a crutch anyway, and one that I've come to rely on. However, it feels silly to quibble about such trivial matters, especially when everything else about the game is almost perfect. The music is no exception. Composer Gareth Coker brilliantly pairs environments and characters with their complementary musical match. Utilizing the UK's Philharmonia Orchestra, Coker delivers a delightful score of over 3 hours. The music really matches the emotion conveyed through both the art direction and the story. Some of the cutscenes, when taken with the music, can be cruelly heartbreaking. Ugh, enough! The combat in game is top-notch. Ori's Spirit Edge melee attack is served out in 5 swings before he needs to pause briefly. Dashing, as well as using bash on an enemy to evade, are indispensable tools on your journey. It took me too long to learn to use the bash ability on enemy projectiles in order to send them right back. This also has the positive effect of halting the momentum of almost anything heading towards you, and that includes enemies. You can further hone your fighting skills at several combat shrines. These tests of proficiency will see the player duking it out with a series of not too difficult foes. Keep hammering away until the computer runs out of bad guys. The reward is an expansion to your shard slots, allowing you to utilize ever more shard skills. In the course of modernizing a classic genre, it's nice to see that Moon Studios left some foundational staples intact. Like being able to walk right into someone else's house, break all their stuff, and rob them blind. Right in front of them, too. It's great. I'm taking my money back for all those maps, Lupo. Chump. Say hello to Bauer. He's a bear. He tells you that spring cannot return to this area unless each of the frozen shrines are rekindled. Easier said than done. The first shrine is really easy. Use the feather to heat up the cauldron, then use the bash ability to redirect the flaming projectile towards the shrine. Easy, right? Well, they get harder. This last one took me a while. With all the shrines burning brightly, your hard work is rewarded with a chase scene featuring Shriek. I'm not sure what Shriek's problem is, but geez, what a jerk. What did Ori do to Shriek? God. Honestly, this bird has been a real problem since the beginning. What a piece of I cannot wait to give him the beatdown later. When Ori wakes up, we find out what Shriek's freaking problem is. Bauer, the bear, tells us that Shriek was born as the world was falling apart from decay. With no family and rejected by those from whom she sought companionship, her heart was turned to stone. So now she's got to be put down, and you're just the one to do it. For your troubles, Bauer gives you his Wisp, which means we have them all together and it's about time to wrap things up. Travel through the windswept plains to the wind-torn ruins. The Wisps will open the way, allowing entry to the temple. This large structure was built to safeguard this last wisp, which is located far down in the temple's bowels. The wisps join together to form Seer, who really needs to go to the Spirit Willow. But first, we need to get away from one of the sandworms from Dune. This is the hardest chase scene in the game. You need to use just about all the abilities you've learned. There really isn't much room for error. I must have died 20 times on my run. I'm sure there are plenty of people who found this easy, but I'm not one of them. I think I took a break and made a sandwich in between deaths at one point. Regardless, outrunning the worm leads to a brief confrontation with Shriek. This time, Seer gives Shriek something to think about. Getting to the Spirit Willow requires finding one more ability, Launch. This allows Ori to launch in any direction, really extending the length and height of jumps. With this new skill, Ori can take on the interior of the Spirit Willow, which has been corrupted by these creep parts. There are 8 of them, and destroying each frees the tree from decay. This final stage is pretty dangerous. Most surfaces are damaging if they don't kill Ori right away. All these stupid lasers don't help at all. Some of the creep parts are easier to destroy than others. Getting to them is what is difficult. Here is where the developers challenge the skills you've acquired over the course of so many hours. Some are frustratingly difficult. The toughest one, for me at least, requires changing the trajectory of projectiles several times and into different warp zones so as to be used to blow up a wall several screens away. Ridding the Spirit Willow of the creep parts ends the final level. The big tree tells us that the land has been healed thanks to all your hard work. However, the tree can no longer hold the light and implores Ori to merge with Seer to take its place. But not so fast. The Freak is back. And this time only one of us is going to walk away. Shriek has more varied attacks than the previous bosses. She'll attack with those giant gross legs and with the weird little T-Rex ones. She has a screech, or a shriek rather, that hurts anything in her vicinity. She also shoots projectiles and a beam. She's a tough boss. Fortunately, Ori can basically fly at this point. It pays to stay in the air and wallop her on the head. I selected the Spirit Smash weapon to inflict as much damage as possible in 1 or 2 hits. Things get crazy as Shriek gets closer and closer to death. Eventually, the entire stage falls away, crumbling under duress as the battle rages. Ori must make good use of the bash ability to propel from projectile to projectile so as to get close enough to do some damage. This is a good final boss fight. The music really informs the audience that this is serious. This is no time to be thinking of your dying companion, or forever lost friends, or even all those freaking side quests that we never did. So much left to do. No, this fight requires as much brain power and reflexive maneuvers as you can muster. Just keep hammering away and ignore the sweaty buildup on the controller. One last brutal bludgeoning and Shriek is done. Just to make sure you feel bad about yourself, the player is treated to a scene depicting Shriek's final moments. Yeah, that's your fault. You feel good about yourself? Poor little thing. Never really had a family. Ori, injured from battle, struggles to find Seer. The music becomes more and more emotive as Ori recalls past friendships now gone forever. Upon embracing, the two are joined, and light and happy stuff fill the forest. Ku is alive and well, of course. But the forest critters are saddened as their new friend Ori is gone. But hope is not lost, as a new Spirit Willow begins to take form on the spot where Ori and Seer became one. This little sprout grows through the magic of the montage until we see it as the noble bearer of light that it was meant to be. Man, what a great game. Get me some tissue, what a tearjerker. Okay, I'll try to hold it together just long enough to talk some pros and cons. Let's see, pros. The game plays very well. Fighting, running, triple jumping, dashing, and bashing are tons of fun. All of the combat mechanics, along with the platforming and controls, meld together to make for excellent gameplay. The visuals are amazing. Just wow. Everything looks hand-painted and absolutely alive with movement. The visual theme is consistent from beginning to end. Very nice. The controls are tight, intuitive, and responsive. Just the things necessary for a game like this. The music is exquisite. I swear it's going to be in my head all week long. The environmental music, the leitmotifs, the boss music, it's all wonderful. No wonder the soundtrack goes for $15 by itself on Steam. The story, which is something I often overlook, but it's not possible with this game because it is so engaging. The characters are so animated and freaking cute that you can't help but to love them. Even Shriek as a baby was cute, but man, are there some seriously sad moments in there. The game is only $30, and there is a lot to do here. I still have to go back and finish a bunch of side quests and collect more Gorlak ore to finish upgrading Wellspring Glades. Plus, I'm missing a bunch of shards and a couple of abilities. This is money well spent. Okay, a couple of cons. These are going to be pretty petty because there isn't much wrong with this game. So let's see. I personally would be happy if Moon Studios added a mini-map at a future update. I'm sure they discussed it during development, and I'm not even saying they made the wrong decision by not having one. I'm just saying I like mini-maps, and I want one on the corner of the screen. That's all. No biggie. Maybe the boss battles can drag just a tad. I don't know. The bosses have huge health bars, and it takes just a long time to bring them down, even if you know what you're doing. And finally, the game has some rather dismal moments designed to tug at the player's heartstrings. Everybody in the game seems to have a background story, and they're all depressing. I understand that the sadder instances fit the theme, but man, nothing gets to me quite like little forest critters under duress. They even made me feel bad for killing Shriek. Ugh, make it stop. Regardless, these few very minor issues aside, this is a wonderful game, especially if you're a fan of the genre. Few games come this close to perfection, and I can't wait to see what Moon Studios has in store for the future. Thank you for watching this all the way through. If you enjoy this video and things of this nature, please like this video and subscribe so as to be informed when new videos are added.